indulge less in sacrifice, renounce military violence, avoid the householder life and marriage and raising of children in order to become as a full-time mendicant monk or nun seeking enlightenment. Undaunted, Lalmani successfully critiqued all those misunderstandings of Buddhism and its role in shaping Indian civilization. I am not remembering where I first met Lalmani. It might have been when my wife and kid and I visited him at Patiala, or it might have been at Harvard when he was a visiting professor at the Harvard Center for World Religions on Divinity Avenue in the late 60s. I remember an amusing incident at Harvard when he and I were at a cocktail reception at Professor Nagatomi's house one evening. Since Lalmani was, as a serious Buddhist, against alcohol consumption and became worried for and maybe a bit irritated with Professor Nagatomi, who quite liked his drinks, he said, "What do you think when you take a drink and you look up and see the Bodhisattva canon in this painting on your wall? What do you say?" Nagatomi didn't miss a bit, smiled broadly, raised his glass as if to toast the canon picture and said, "I say bottoms up." It was a Zen moment, and Lalmani was most gracious and heartily joined in the general laughter. Sometimes later on, Lalmani moved to Amherst College in 1981, where I was able to get him a visiting professorship for a year. And during that period of time, our family with our children had the wonderful chance to meet his wonderful wife Janaki and his three lovely children, the spirited Avalokiteshvara, beautiful Maya, and the kind Dharmakirti. Since that time, the archaeological world has uncovered so many traces of the huge Buddhist presence in India, with the recovery and the excavation of so many Buddhist monastic ruins and stupas. There has been so much more scholarship in the Indian Buddhist literature. And with the advent of the Tibetans in India, so much more philosophical interaction between the Buddhist philosophical divisions and the 6 main Hindu philosophical views. I very much hope and expect that due to Lalmani's by now long established rebirth in a good family with a scholarly profession among the Indian intelligentsia, he might well be one of the younger or perhaps middle-aged scholars doing new studies of the Yoga Sutra, Nayayika thought, centrist critical science and quantum physics, karmic biology-based ethical treatises, Buddhist aesthetical poetics and critical literature, Indian history, medicine, and artistic canons. This is quite important in India's history at the moment. Certainly not because there will be any widespread conversion from Hinduism to Buddhism, but because India's own amazing sciences, especially its inner sciences, Adhyatma Vidya, will be strongly reinforced by the Buddhist literary contribution as it is recovered from the Tibetan translations of the contents of the long-lost great library of Nalanda. And this will be important even for India's contemporary social life because it will help Indians to deal with their own issues about caste, the Dalits and tribals, the equality principle of democracy, gradually lessening the rigidity of the ascriptive caste system and tempering hierarchies using the Buddha's redefinition of being Brahmin as not just by birth but by virtue of having true wisdom and compassion for the people and leading them to have a more positive life. Since the world today, under the onslaught of the materialist technologies of travel and communication and scientific research, has caused various traditional societies to reassert archaic and obsolescent social and belief systems. Here, I am thinking, of course, of the powerful Hindutva movement, the Buddha's reasonable prescriptions about good life, seen by good Hindus as coming from the mouth of Vishnu, might well help them preserve the essential aspects of democracy and cultivate a sense of equality between all the citizens of their great land. Thank you, Lalmani, for your great contribution. Thank you, dear Professor Maya, for lighting this memorial candle. Much love to Lalmani's beloved Janki and you and Avlok and Dharmakirti. Thank you.